Okay, so hi everyone. I'm here with Douglas Gubert today, and Douglas is going to present you the second part of the Rocket.Chat apps development webinar, where he's going to focus on how to manage and keep data in your apps specifically. So feel free to ask questions in the live chat room, and this webinar will also be recorded, so you'll be able to check it out later at your convenience. So Doug, let's go ahead and show how to work with data.
All right, so hello everyone. Good to see you again. Today we're going to follow up on the last webinar. It's not exactly the same code that I'm going to show you. I have modified it a little. But the idea is actually the same. We're going to keep building a GitHub integration and to our Rocket.Chat and using our Rocket.Chat apps engine, right? So let's do this. I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, sharing. So just a quick recap. Let's see what we have already. So here we have our app installed, app.github. And what it does is it provides us with a endpoint post webhook, which we can then put here in my GitHub repo. I've selected one here, and with this configuration, we can then go here in a. I'm going to revert a commit here and make a push, so that GitHub is going to notify us of this push. And then we're gonna receive a notification on our. So just a little bit of hiccup here with the connection, it seems. Let's try this again. Okay. Okay, you can see here something happened in the terminal already. This is the Rocket.Chat terminal. And here we go. Just pushed one commit to my repository. And we can see here the repository that it's being linked and pushed to. So our webhook is a little bit different from the last time, and let's go over it real quick. So here is the webhook endpoint. We're going to extend the API endpoint that comes from our Rocket.Chat apps engine. We set a path for it, a public path, that is webhook. And whenever it receives a post HTTP request, it's gonna find the Rocket.Cat user, which sends the message. It's going to find our room that is general, that it comes by default. When you install Rocket.Chat, you have this general room available, the channel, public channel. We are checking the payload, the headers, to see if the event that GitHub sent us is a push. If it's not, we don't do anything and just return. And then we parse our payload, the content that GitHub sent us. We build a message here, passing the room that we got before, the sender, the user that is actually going to send the message. We do some pass some data from GitHub here to other data on our message, build a text, and send the message here with this, the modify creator finish call. And then we return a success for GitHub to know that he's successfully sent us a webhook post. And it turns to this message over here. You can see it's using the avatar from GitHub and the names from GitHub. But so it is a little bit cumbersome to get there, right? Because we have to come here, the user has to come here, check the app, and it's gonna have to copy this URL here, go to webhooks, add a webhook, and after adding it, we come here, post it, blah blah blah, to get it working. And we really don't want this experience for our user. We want to make it as smooth as possible, right? So I'd say that a good thing for us to do here is we can make it available for our Rocket.Chat to create this connection automatically, right? So what we're going to do here, I'm going to show you, and this is going to be in a little bit faster pace than the one before, the code already done. So we do this step 1 here, and you're going to see there are some differences here in our code base. So we've added a / command that is going to connect to a GitHub repo automatically. So getting a / command to work, in the same method that we provide an API, we provide a / command, right? We've seen this in the last webinar. And this / command, it receives some parameters. So here we see it's called GitHub. We defined some internationalization here for the description and the params. And we provide an executor. So right now I'm going to show you some of the patterns that we've discovered to be good, that help us developing our Rocket.Chat apps. So this is the first one that we've come up with, that it's the subcommand pattern, right? So we install a / command to GitHub, to Rocket.Chat, that is called GitHub, and then we pass other subcommands to it. Most like something like Git works on the command line, right? So I'm going to deploy this update here to our Rocket.Chat for us to see how things will go here. So right now we have this. Well, let me just do a quick refresh of the screen here. Now we see we have a GitHub / command. We can pass it a connect subcommand, and we can pass also the address of the GitHub repo we want to connect to. So in my case, it's going to be Jira installation test. And we've successfully connected to the repo. So now what's going to happen is, let me just check it real quick. It has connected automatically. We don't have the name here, but it has created this webhook here, right? We had one already. And let's do it again, just so we don't get confused with multiple So github.com, the didn't installation test. And again, successfully. And when we come here to the webhooks page, we can see that it created another one automatically for us. And then again, if we do a push to the same repo, we're going to see that we received a message, the same message as before. So just to explain to you, my dev environment right now, I'm running a local instance of Rocket.Chat here. You can see the terminal here. And for GitHub to be able to send us HTTP requests, I had to use ngrok, which is an NPM package that creates a tunnel and gives us the internet address for my local instance. Instead of localhost, right? And with this setup, I am actually able to create this link, post it to GitHub, and make it send us notifications for that when everything happens. One important thing to note here is that we need this setting in the Rocket.Chat to be configured properly according to the URL that ngrok gives us when it creates its tunnel. So we got to make sure that we put this URL right here in the site URL, so our app is able to generate the correct URL for our webhook to create it here, right? So let's go check out the code right now. So this is a slash command. This pattern here that we use is the sub command. So we create a enum right now that has this commands that we're gonna export with our slash command. And we have one method inside our GitHub /command class for each one of the commands we're going to export. So right now we have only one, and we're going to process the connect command that we just used. So here we have a quick error handling. If something goes wrong, like the user does not send a repo URL, you're going to see here that it sends you a little message warning you about it. So if we do it like connect, it tells you how to use this / command. And after it gets when we send a correct repo, it gets us, we just get the repo name, we extract it from the URL. It's a quick function. And then, oopsie, I lost it's here. So, and then if we don't have a repo name, it also says that it's an invalid repo address, GitHub repo address. And here is one of the other interesting patterns that we use. So we have to use the GitHub REST API to automatically create our class that's going to help us with that. So I know that GitHub, we have an NPM package that actually implements this for us. But unfortunately, right now, it is not possible to utilize NPM packages with our Rocket.Chat apps engine. We're working on that to make it available for the developers, but right now, we don't have it. So we have to implement this by ourselves. Since we just want to create the webhook is just one endpoint, and it's really, really simple for us. So we just create a create webhook method, passing the repo name and the webhook URL. This is the payload we're going to send to GitHub, and this is our supporting function here. You can see there are some headers that GitHub asks us to send alongside our payload to make it work, right? And that is what is under the hood here. So we instantiate this GitHub SDK, passing it the HTTP dependency. The HTTP dependency is actually what enables Rocket.Chat apps to access the outer web, right? So it is, you can see here that we use its post method to send an HTTP request to elsewhere in the internet. So we pass it a URL and a configuration object here, and that enables us to send a message and get a response. So here's just a quick check to see if our response was okay. And if our response was okay, we just parse the content. Now here, we know that GitHub is going to return to us a JSON. But in a real world scenario, we would most likely check what kind of content the response has sent us and parse it appropriately, right? So just for the demonstration purpose, we're doing a quick conversion here to JSON. So we try to do this create webhook here. This is another one of our supporting functions. URL. So using the app, we get this accessors pattern here, right? That this is what gives us access to the outside world out of the Rocket.Chat apps engine. And so whenever we come here and provide an API in this method in our main class of the app, we can access the provided API through this provided API endpoints accessor right here. So what we're doing is we're trying to find the endpoint we just created that is called, with the path webhook that we provided here in our webhook endpoint. So we just find it so that we are able to process, like we have this site URL right here. That is the setting I've just shown you here in the general settings. And the webhook computed path, that is the complete path to the generated endpoint that we have. So here you can see that we just provide a partial path, right? But actually, as we can see here in the apps detail screen, what it provides us is like a big namespace, which is API apps public, the ID of our app, and then the path that we provided. So this is the computed path. And that's what we're getting ready here. It's like the site URL, the host of your Rocket.Chat instance, and then the computed path of the webhook makes the whole URL address that it's going to use to create this webhook here in GitHub, right? So we run the slash command. It creates the webhook. If it catches if anything wrong happens, it notifies the user. And if everything goes okay, we just send the successfully connected repo, which is the message we're gonna get right here. It'll be a little bit tricky since we have to get some settings from our environment, right? So I've just made a simple helper function inside here that enables us to build our message that's going to be sent. So we're passing the text and the environment variables that we're going to need to produce our message. We get the sender, that is Rocket.Cat, our robot, most loved robot. And we get from the modify accessor right here, we get the notifier that enables us to notify the users or rooms, and we call the notify user method with the user that we want to notify and the message builder that we're going to create. So here we start a simple message. We pass the sender, we pass the room that we're going to notify, where the user is in, the text that we received here, and a little setting so that it prevents it from grouping subsequent messages, right? And we build this message and send it to this notify user method right here. It receives a user and a message. So you can see that by doing that, I am able to send notifications generally from anywhere, just passing in those messages that I want. Here, we can see we receive a user, and this is the user we want to notify. So the user that we want to notify in any case is the user that ran the slash command, right? So we get this by using the slash command context right here. It enables us to get the sender of the slash command, get the room where the slash command was executed, and also get the arguments that were passed to the slash command. In this case, we want the repo URL that we've treated before. So this is what we're going to use to send this notification from the user to the user and to the room of the slash command. We created this slash command that automatically connects our Rocket.Chat to GitHub. But here's the catch. If we open our GitHub SDK right here, you can see that in the authorization bearer, I'm sending my access token that I've got from GitHub, and it's fixed here, right? But not everyone is going to be using my access token, and not everyone is going to have access to any repo. So what we actually want to do right here is we're going to advance to make it configurable. So to get this access token, you go to your profile here, and it's on developer settings, personal access tokens, and then you can see that I've generated a token especially for this part. So let's check the next step right here. And you can see that it changed a little. So what we're going to do right now, I'm gonna delete this webhook so we can see it functioning again. So we want to make it configurable, right? The access token. So what we actually do, if we try to connect to the same repo again, what we are going to receive, oh yes, I forgot to deploy our app, the update for our app. Okay, now it's deployed. Let's delete the webhook again. And now you're gonna see that Rocket.Cat tells me I haven't configured my access key yet. And this is where we get to saving data with our app, right? Persisting data. So it tells me to run this command. I'm going to show you how this works real quick. Set token. And now we can run again the connect command. And it no longer gives us this error message, but successfully connects to the repo. And we can see that it created here the webhook again. So what happens is, with this new flow, we created a new slash command, a subcommand, that it's set token. We add this command to our enum right here. Just a quick reminder that this is TypeScript, so that's why we have the enum available for us. And with the set command, we process it a little bit differently, right? So we receive a different argument here, and we use the persistence layer of our app, our Rocket.Chat apps engine, to persist this data in Rocket.Chat. So now this is one of the other pattern, quote unquote, that we discovered to be very useful when developing Rocket.Chat apps. That enables us to better control the persistence layer that we have. So here we receive directly from the Rocket.Chat engine the persistence object that allows us to save data and modify data, and the persistence reader that allows us to read data from our persistence layer. So you can see here that we are, with this little class that I've made, this is like the logic for our business logic for this app. So here we call the set user access token method in the persistence class. That is right here. So what happens is, the persistence object, it allows us to save data in somewhat like a key value store, right? So we have these associations that enables us to map some kind of association to some kind of value, in this case an object. So what happens is, association record we created, passing some data for it to identify what we are associating this record with. And here I'm saying that I'm associating this user, the user that currently is executing the slash command, with the GitHub key string. And with that, I'm actually able to save this object that has this access token that was just provided to me. And then we just execute this little method here that's going to get us to persist this data, right? This, I'm going to show you what this looks in the database real quick. So we have this collection that's called Rocket.Chat apps persistence, and it has like this document right here. It's not this one, it's this one. So this document right here holds the data that we've just provided to the method, right? We called it with the user. This is the user that I'm using. This is my ID. And this is the access token that I've just provided. And then in the connect command that we created earlier, we modify it so that it reads from the persistence layer our access token, and then we can provide the access token to our SDK. So reading, you also do the reading with association records. So in the same way that I've done it when I was persisting the data, when I want to read the data, I create the same association records, and I call the method read by associations. That's going to enable us to read data from our persistence layer, right? It's really simple. We just await it. It returns an array of the data we've saved, and we want the first one. That's why we're just structuring it here. So if we have a result, we return the access token, and if we don't have a result, we just return undefined. And also, we modify our SDK to have this configurable parameter that is the bearer token. And this is the flow. We get it from the persistence store, put it in the SDK, and then we are able to create the webhook again. Right here. So with this little small modification, we're able to create it with a configurable access token. We can, of course, GitHub. This is. Let me just update it here, so we can get the new parameters that we've just defined. We can set the token for anything else. For instance, Rocket.Chat. And then we're going to get an error if we try to connect to the repo again. Get this error connecting to the repo. And then if we go here to the terminal of Rocket.Chat, we get the actual error that we receive. So it's saying here bad credentials, because I have provided a invalid token here in the request. So that's it, everybody. Right now, we've just improved our Rocket.Chat app to automatically create a webhook from Rocket.Chat with a slash command. And we were able to configure the custom access token for our user using the persistence layer to persist this data and read it to configure our HTTP request, right? Of course, this is kind of raw. A good next step would be like providing this custom error message. We just currently say that we have an error, but we could actually treat it and provide a better error message. And we could also enhance it to create, for instance, an issue to GitHub from Rocket.Chat. A good theme for our next webinar. What would you say, Bruno?
Oh yeah, for sure. That could be a nice topic for the next webinar. Also, if anyone has any questions, now's the time to ask Doug. And if not, let's wrap it up. And the recording will be available on the YouTube channel. And we appreciate everyone that watched the live webinar with Doug. So let me check if there are any questions here on our YouTube chat or in our open Rocket.Chat channel. Just comment that the /comment connected genius. Awesome.
Nice.
So thanks, guys.
Also, just a little heads up here. I'm going to upload the code for the webinar here on Rocket.Chat's GitHub account. So, and I'm going to post the link to it in the webinars channel here on our open server, open.rocket.chat. So if you missed something or just want to get this app working and modify it, you can check it later after I post it there. And if there are any questions on the code there, you can always hit me up on open.rocket.chat, and I can help you with getting started and getting it modified. So I think that's it. So if we don't have any questions there, do you know if we have something? Do you know?
Oh yeah. So Aaron is asking if the marketplace as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can get it listed there and start using it on open.
So why not?
Yeah, right. And keep improving it on next webinars so that we get even more functionality out there, right?
Okay, that's great. Okay, guys. So see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.